Hey y'all, it's Nurse Queen and I am back with my vlog videos. Overall, I have been very inconsistent, but all of my friends, supporters, and everybody in my DMs holding me accountable to post a new vlog. Thank you all, because 2020 is real different. New year, new me. I'm gonna be more consistent just because I have sustainable content and I have a lot of followers and viewers that are interested in what I have to say. So I am gonna be way more consistent than usual for sure. But besides all of that, make sure you all like and subscribe below to stay updated on when I post new vlogs, create new content, and all of that good stuff. In the meantime, we're gonna get straight into this video. So this vlog is more so dedicated to my Insta story that I posted about 3 weeks ago, asking my followers to ask me questions about nursing, fashion, travel, all of the things that my vlog highlights. And I had so many questions to the point that I wasn't even able to answer them on my Instagram. So I said that I was gonna make a vlog answering all of those questions, basically to give you all some more insight into things that you wanted to know. So I wrote the questions down in a book and I'm gonna go through every single question, answering them kind of off the top of my head and pretty much just going from there. Okay, so question number 1 is how to pay for travel nursing. So the pay for travel nursing is amazing. Like, when I say amazing, I would never go back to staff nursing. Like, that's so ghetto to me now. But I'm not gonna specifically say how much I get paid, but I've seen packages as low of $1,200 a week to $3,000 a week. Like, it just varies on location, but overall the pay is amazing. You know, with the pay, it includes your food, your travel, your housing, so you have to keep that in mind. But ultimately, you get paid triple the amount you'll get paid as a staff nurse. So once you gain your experience, if you want to do traveling or you want to make some money, then I would say look into travel nursing. You make the most money in California, New York. Sometimes if they have strike nursing and you have that opportunity, so you make a lot of money there. So you just have to really do your research. But if you're ultimately all about the money, I would say get your California license as soon as possible. Like, that's what I'm working on right now, and that is where the big bucks are at for sure. Okay, so question number 2 is, did you like Kentucky State University's nursing program? So overall, the answer is ultimately yes. Like, I love my HBCU. I love the nursing program itself. I mean, I have nothing else to compare it to, but you know, I graduated, it was cool. What I did like about my nursing program that was pretty unique from other universities is that we were able to get our ADN first, our associates as a nurse, and then bridge over and do an RN to BSN program, which is very helpful. Most universities don't offer that. A lot of JUCOs and community colleges do, but my university did. And at that point, it was very beneficial to me because I graduated with my ADN my sophomore year, and I was able to work as an RN, make money, still in undergrad, and then get my BSN 2 years later. So it was very beneficial. I would definitely recommend Kentucky State University's nursing program just because the staff was very helpful. They were, you know, for you. They wanted to see you pass. Now, I don't know about now how that is because I graduated in 2017, but overall, my experience was great. Now I believe the curriculum's a little different, and I think you do straight go into the BSN portion, but I'm not really sure. But overall, I love my HBCU and I would recommend it to anyone. So the next question is, how many years of experience before travel nursing? How long should you wait? So, I mean, everybody's varies. Me personally, I was a med-surg nurse for 1.5 years, and then additionally, I was a labor and delivery nurse for 1.5 years. So I had a total of 3 years experience as a nurse before I actually started travel nursing, but they only really pay attention to your specialty. So that med-surg experience I had didn't count. So technically I only had 1.5 years of labor and delivery experience. Now, what I will recommend to anybody is get a solid 2 years, just because, you know, you may be coming from a low acuity hospital or not a level 1, which kind of hinders you because when you go into traveling, you get minimal orientation. So with me, I was at a high risk labor and delivery unit where I seen a lot within my 1.5 years. I picked up a lot of overtime. So I kind of stretched out my time to, it was 1.5 years, but I worked so much, it was like almost 2 years. So for the most part, if you work at a really high risk, fast paced place and you're like in the ER, labor and delivery, any of those things, you see a lot, you can travel within a year and a half, but if not, then I would say get a solid 2 years. And within those 2 years, make sure you're like really like utilizing what you learn and applying everything, because when you become a traveler, they kind of expect for you to know everything, just because you only get like 2 days of orientation, which is not a lot at all. Okay, so my next question is travel nursing everything you expected? So is it everything I expected? Yeah, kinda. I mean, I love it, don't get me wrong, but I thought it would be so much more easier, like the transitions like in between assignments and just going from assignment to assignment. I find to where I'm ending an assignment, it's always like my life is in shambles. My last 2 weeks had an assignment because I'm trying to worry about my next assignment and getting everything together, such as moving, solidifying my new license for that state, or, you know, packing and doing all of this extra stuff. Like, those are the things that, you know, a lot of travel nurses don't talk about. You have to pack almost every 13 weeks, all of your things. You have to be away from your family. You have to basically kind of sometimes take like the shitty assignments just because you are a traveler and they expect for you to work harder. I don't know why, maybe because you get paid more, don't know. But it's a lot of like downfall to it. Granted, I still would recommend it to anyone, but the movement is probably just the biggest thing for me, and like finding housing and finding just the right recruiter for you, the right agency that pays the most with great insurance and stuff like that. So overall, is it what I expected? No, I kind of think it's more than what I expected. Like, I get to live in a city for 13 weeks or even more, learning their, you know, culture, their lingo, places they go to brunch at, shopping, meeting new people. It's just like a great experience in itself. And plus, I love to travel, so traveling with work is like a plus to me. So the next question is, what are the best study tips and habits for people in the nursing program? So I always tell people that, you know, first initially you have to figure out your study style, like what's for you, whether it is, you know, audio replay, lectures, index cards, or if it's, you know, visual learning, repetition, writing things down. Those are the key factors into figuring out what is your studying style. And once you figure out what your study style is, it'll be so much easier to study. Me personally, mine was repetition and also audio. So I will record lectures, listen to them in the car. I will also do a lot of index cards, take my index cards literally everywhere with me and read those over and over and over and over again. I also would do a lot of NCLEX style questions. Kind of whenever we went to a different subject, I would flip to the end of the book and just see what questions are tied to that topic. And that helped me learn a lot too, because, you know, nursing is a different type of thinking. It's not what you're used to, what you've been doing your whole life. It's completely different. So you have to kind of adjust your mind to that new type of learning. Okay, so the next question is, how did you balance working multiple jobs? So me personally, I've never had one job. Like, this is my first time ever having one job, and it's so like ghetto to me. Granted, I'm making more than I was making when I was working 3 jobs, because I was a staff nurse, a PRN staff nurse, and then I had a side job that was like kind of PRN as well, part-time. And overall, all of those were like base paid, like normal pay. But now that I'm a traveler, it's like, okay, I can work less, still get paid more, but still, you know, I would love another job, like, don't get me wrong. So that's definitely in the works. But how did I balance working multiple jobs? I mean, you just do it. Like, when you have multiple jobs and you have goals that you're trying to set and you're saving for something specific, or just saving just because, like how I was, you just, you know, work. You make sure that, you know, if you have prior obligations, you let those jobs know, like, hey, I can't work there. What I would recommend is, of course, you have one staff job that's full-time, and then your other jobs, do not make them part-time, make them PRN. So you work when you want to work. Do not commit to a part-time commitment, because when you do that, then you're basically committing to full-time 3 days a week, and then also part-time, which is normally 1 to 2 days a week, and it's like no say so because you committed to that. So my recommendation would be to work full-time and then have multiple PRN jobs where you can just work and pick up whenever you want to at any time. Okay, so question number 6, I believe, is how did I apply to LPN school and also RN school? My LPN journey is kind of unique because CPS, which Chicago Public Schools had like an LPN program in high school, which I went through. So it was a little different, but I'm pretty sure applying to LPN and RN school are pretty much the same. You know, you do your research, you find out what program is for you, and then you just apply online, go according to the requirements, whether it's a GPA or, you know, the number of credit hours you need, or the letter of recommendations, or what, you know, high school GPA you had, and things of that nature. But for the most part, I have another video on my vlog that you all can refer to about nursing. Overall, it's simple, easy. You just go on the website, see what the requirements are, you fill out the application packet, and you just go from there. Make sure you find the right advisor so you can take the right prerequisites, because that is key. And then yeah, you should be good to go. Okay, so the question is, what is my specialty? So my specialty currently is labor and delivery, which I love so much. It is near and dear to my heart. But I did do med surg before, home health, pediatrics, IV infusion, long-term care, and postpartum. And overall, labor and delivery has been pretty much my niche and what I love and what I go to. The question also was, would I recommend a new grad going straight into a specialty? And honestly, I would say yes, just because I was told so many times in an interview when I first graduated that I had to do med surg first for 2 years and then do labor and delivery, and I was so discouraged because that is not what I wanted to do. But I took their recommendation, worked med surg. I hated it, as I knew that I would, and then eventually I got the job as labor and delivery. But the thing is when I started labor and delivery, I started out with so many new grads, and I was so mad because I was like, where was my opportunity to work as a new grad when I wanted to do labor and delivery? But neither here nor there. I feel like as a new grad, you know, go into that specialty that you want to go into. Make sure you still know, you know, your core nursing skills, your core nursing assessments. But if you know this is a specialty that you want to do based off your clinical, you know, your 120 hours, just do it. Like, don't waste your time on something else, another specialty, because even with me, it delayed my travel experience because I wasn't able to travel as quick as I wanted to because I had to do med surg, then I had to do into labor and delivery, and it kind of took away from the amount of years I had as a labor nurse. So if you're thinking about ICU, if you're thinking about ER, if you're thinking about labor, delivery, or even NICU. So the next question is, should I work in nursing school? And my recommendation to anybody that has the opportunity not to work is to not work. Just because overall, once you transition from regular learning to nursing learning, is completely different, and you need that, you know, downtime of not working to actually like transition into the new learning style that you need to have. Overall, I was an LPN when I started nursing school, well, RN school, and overall, I didn't even work as an LPN. I did work studies, which helped me like still be able to do my homework, study while I was at work studies on my campus. Like, it was super easy. But, you know, some people can't do that. Some people don't have that option. They have kids, you know, families to support. And if you have to, just make sure you're utilizing all your time studying and working, because at the end of the day, the end goal is to graduate, period. So my number one recommendation would be to not work, or to have like a job that's very low stress, enough for you to still be able to study at work, or enough for you to be able to have time to study after work. Tips for new L&D nurses. So I have so many tips for L&D nurses because I love L&D, but my main tip of all time to any L&D nurse would be to make sure you are checking cervix. I don't know if I said that right because I don't normally use it as like a plural, but make sure you're checking as many cervixes as possible, because that is the main and core skill as a labor and delivery nurse, especially if you want to travel. Because when you go to these different facilities, if it's not a teaching facility, your nursing judgment and your nursing skill as a labor nurse is to check your patient's cervix and determine their plan of care. So with that being said, now that I'm traveling, I am traveling to a lot of teaching facilities, and my initial hospital where I got my core labor and delivery skills was not a teaching facility. So I always would check my patient's cervix. But for the most part, once you go to other hospitals that are teaching facilities, you work with other nurses that, you know, they've never checked their cervix before, and they've been nurses for years. Just because at teaching facilities, the job of the residents are to check the cervixes, and the nurses do not even check their patient cervix at all. So even if you work at a teaching facility and that's where you're getting your core skills at, make sure you still have the opportunity to practice on your patients, and, you know, maybe even ask your supervisor, like, hey, is it okay if I can check my patient? Or, you know, is it okay if I check behind the resident when they check, just to get my own, you know, orientation of how to check a cervix? But that is the main number one recommendation I would give most labor nurses. Another thing I would say is make sure you're paying attention. It seems like it's super lax being a labor nurse just because, you know, you're delivering babies, but no, like, labor and delivery is really hard, and you have to deal with a patient, which is the mom, and also her fetus that is not even in this world yet, which can be the hardest thing ever, because so many things can go wrong and so many things can go right. So just make sure you're paying attention to the baby's heart rate, make sure you're paying attention to the sounds of the baby's heart rate, as well as, you know, different things like the baseline changing of the baby's heart rate. Different things can kind of make or break your experience as a labor and delivery nurse. So just make sure you're paying attention to color of the amniotic fluid, the smell, and just in your orientation, make sure you're listening to your preceptor, everything they have to say. Don't take it lax just because it's labor and delivery. Actually apply all of your critical thinking skills when it comes to taking care of these patients. Okay, so the next question is, where do you get your hair from? It's so bouncy and pretty. Thank you, I definitely appreciate that. But most of the time I get my hair online at Kendra's Boutique, which is a hair company that a lot of people know about. You can find them on Instagram. That's how I found them, and I've been using them for like 3 years. Most of my wigs are made with that hair. It's very affordable, it doesn't shed, it dyes well, and like I said, I've been using the same bundles for about 2 years, and it's so great. Currently though, I'm using Indian hair from a company out here in the DMV. Her name is Barbkyn, BARBKYN, and she installs hair, makes wigs, provide bundles, and she did all of that, and the hair is very great. It curls well, dyes, washes it, all of that, and it's still A1. So I would definitely recommend her. And then lastly, I also have about 2 wigs made with CB Collection, which is a collection from back home. You can find them on Instagram at cocaine_blondie. She provides really good hair. It is Brazilian. It's very, very affordable, as well as it doesn't shed, it washes well. I've dyed it plenty of times. I had the same bundles for about a year, and it still is as new as can be. So the 3 companies I will recommend for hair, for bouncy pretty hair anyway, will be Kendra's Boutique, Barbkyn, and CB Collection. Okay, so next, the question is, would you mentor upcoming nurses? So eventually in the future, yeah, I would be totally up to mentoring nurses, but right now I don't even have time for myself. I'm always running around like a chicken with its head cut off every day I'm off. And I actually do have mentees, but the mentees I have, I really don't feel like I'm the best mentor when it comes to communication and just, you know, checking in. We have to literally schedule our times weekly. So for that, I don't feel like at this very moment in my life, the time that I don't have time to really mentor anyone directly, but my DMs are always open, my emails are always open, and I'm always, you know, there for any questions that any, you know, new nurses have, or even nurses that are aspiring to be travel nurses. So yeah, no mentees right now, but I'm totally here to assist, help in any way that I can. So the next question is, how do I find housing for a travel nurse? And so this has been literally the biggest struggle, like the biggest struggle for us, this travel assignment, just because we've moved like 4 times. 4 times. Like, and it's not because we don't have like the opportunity or the resources to find great housing. It's just that the time frames, we don't know if we're going to ever extend at certain places, and then by the time we figure out we're going to extend, that place is booked up. It's very, very hard. So you need to be a planner, someone that plans your life out 3 months to 6 months in advance, just to know like where you're going to be staying at. We've been in the DMV, and we lived in DC, Northwest, Northeast, Alexandria, Virginia, and then back to Northwest. So overall, we've been moving around a lot, but that's just because we wait till last minute to extend, and then we have to book a new stay, and most of the time that stay is now gone because someone booked ahead of us. So the companies that we normally go through is a company called Zeus Living, and it's a short-term luxury housing property place that you like book through, and we book through them most of the time, and it's kind of on the pricey side, but they've been very accommodating with their amenities as well as the location, and the standard of their units are very, very high scale. So we go through them most of the time. We also search on Furnish Finders. That is specifically for travel nurses, actually, where you look for different places, and the places are already furnished with the basic things that you need to live. Of course, we go through Airbnb, VRBO, HomeAway. All of those websites are very beneficial. And then also you can look online and just type in furnished apartments or furnished housing, and most of the time you can find housing like that too. So us personally, we've only been through Zeus, but when you're looking for a short-term stay, it's kind of hard to find places, and they really do tax you. So just shopping around, comparing prices is pretty much my best advice to anyone that's looking for housing through travel nursing. Okay, last but not least, the question is tips on planning a girls group trip. And the main tip I would get for planning a trip of more than 4 people would be to get a travel agent, just because it's so many people, so many time frames, and I have really bad anxiety. So planning any trip above 4 people gives me anxiety to even plan. So what I do with the trip that I plan with all my friends is most of the time we'll get a travel agent, and that'll give us a more structured way to like pay, because we have deadlines, we have a day we have to start paying, we make a deposit, and it kind of like holds everybody accountable to go. Okay, so last but not least, I would like to thank everybody for watching this video. Make sure you all like and subscribe below, and continue to follow my content along the way. Thanks everyone, I appreciate it, and I'll be posting a new video soon.